Today is Thursday, August the 15th, 2024. Welcome to episode 109 of Reliance with Canny Couple. I'm Julie.
And I'm Aaron.
We're a small homestead family in rural Southwest Virginia that work every single day to be more self-sufficient, less reliant on outside sources, merging homesteading and frugality. And last week we talked about the disadvantages of a frugal lifestyle. There are a few.
There are
a few. Get a lot of odd looks. It's probably our biggest disadvantage is questioning. People don't understand.
It might be, honestly. But, we talked about that last week. So that means the second part of the series is the advantages, which we're always happy to talk about the advantages.
Absolutely. So we fully embrace the frugal lifestyle together. We have grown throughout the years together in our frugality journey, and I would say right now we're at top-notch frugality level. We really kind of nailed it down in the past couple of years. Last year we kind of ramped it up even more.
Yeah.
We ramped it up even more to get debt free, and then this year we've ramped that up even more to make sure that we are saving as much money as we can while we're down to one income.
Right. And still doing what we want to do at the same time and still preparing for retirement.
Absolutely. We're still putting money away. We're still saving heavily. We're still saving at least over 50% of our take-home income. Part of it's going towards retirement. Part of that's going towards homestead goals, household goals, things like that.
Groceries.
All of that. Well, let's talk about the savings.
Oh, you're talking about the savings portion. Well, that is true. I mean, that is what all that's going towards.
Because we recently had a lot of trees cut down on our property. Well, now we need to put up a fence, so we're looking at that, trying to figure all of that out, and what that needs to look like. Okay, so this is part two, from the disadvantages to the advantages. Let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
So I would say the first advantage is either living debt-free or getting to debt-free living through a frugal lifestyle. We can't even explain.
Well, some people might not think it's an advantage trying to get to it. For some people, it might be after you get to it, because it can be a struggle getting to it.
It can, especially today where it feels like your dollar doesn't stretch as far as it used to.
Well, it doesn't.
It doesn't. We know this. We see this. We are not ignorant of this fact. What I would have bought at the grocery store, I know what it would have cost me 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It would have cost me $30. That would have been when we would have came out of the grocery store. As cheap as we've been getting, as careful as I have been, now I'm lucky if I get out at $50. That's an extra $20 that we're spending at the grocery store. And this was, a lot of times that might have been some convenience items. That might have been frozen pizzas. That might have been Cheetos. Things we don't eat now that we were eating then. So I know for a fact we see this. We see this with our electricity bill. We see this with our gas bill. Now, gas doesn't affect us as much because we have really learned. We have never been go out everyday people.
We together have not.
We have not.
Before, when I used to bowl a lot,
were.
I was out every day because it was league night every night.
It was league night every night.
Every night.
I forgot about that. That stopped. We got together. I didn't make him, but he decided to drop that.
It was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money between the gas and going and everything.
Because most of the time it was get off work. You don't have time to fix anything. You have to get food out. Then most of the time it was $20 a night league-wise. At minimum, some of them were even a little bit more. And then the gas there and back. And it's from there back, probably about a 35-minute trip one way.
It's an hour-long drive.
Yep.
It's late nights.
Yep.
And it just made more sense for us, for Aaron to drop that. So, but I was always stay at home. I'd go out like maybe on the weekends. I probably went out more when it was just us, because of, when it was just me, because it was just me, I would go shopping or go to the mall, walk around. I wouldn't buy much, but I would walk around and I would go to movies by myself and things like that. But once we got together, we really became a once a week out family, if we're out at all.
Yeah, yeah, and all the trips are made out that same day. Grocery, everything. Nothing is into multiple trips to save
Unless
money.
there's like a specific reason
Or a
for
specific sale.
or a specific sale, like we know we have to split this up.
Right.
But those are very few and far between. And for us, this just kind of pushed us further into that frugality lifestyle. I think it's one of the things that has helped us save money more than anything, because you're not going out doing a lot, spending
That's
a lot
true.
of money. But getting towards being debt free, it is an advantage. It trains you to be frugal.
It does.
And once you start building those muscles,
it's repetitive even after you're out of debt.
you actually, it becomes harder for you to spend money because you are so terrified of going back into debt, especially when you've had a significant amount. Where we were debt free and then we jumped right back into it. I think we're more scared of debt now than we were before.
We are.
But
We are.
I am more scared
I
of
am
debt.
too.
Because Aaron actually thought we might go into debt for a vehicle until before we got out of debt. That was before.
That was before, yes.
But the feeling you get when you are debt free, it's a load off your chest.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a load off your chest. And if you have that
And a load off your
wallet.
outgoing money.
Yep. Absolutely. That's huge. It's really is.
Massive.
So it is an advantage. It is an advantage. Working towards that debt-free living, working towards getting debt-free and staying debt-free, it is very much an advantage, because that feeling, it's an amazing feeling. Even when you're paying off just your credit cards, you have like 5 or 6 credit cards you're trying to pay off. That's not unrealistic. People have 5 or 6 credit cards, or you're paying off a massive credit card balance.
Right.
I mean, you could be paying off a huge one.
Let's say either some sort of debt. Let's say your debt's $1,000 a month. If you had an extra $1,000 a month,
What could you do?
exactly.
What could you do? Most people don't. I mean, I think the majority of people aren't living these extravagant lifestyles where they need $8,000 to $10,000 a month, or they shouldn't be. I mean, that's a huge lifestyle they like. For us, it's way lower than that, and that's not even the bare bones. Like, our bare bones is even lower than that. And I think most people are more around the $4,000 to $5,000 range.
That's still high.
Well,
I know.
You see it when people are asking for
We
advice
do.
to
I
save
see it
money.
in all of the
Frugal groups.
frugal groups.
I saw it in the non-toxic group. They were asking how they actually go non-toxic
from a frugal standpoint.
From a frugal standpoint. Like, I've got limited funds. How do I do this?
Yeah.
What do I need to focus on? And, people were talking about how much they were making income-wise. And it's hard. But that needs to be a focus. Because once you start paying off debt, you're paying yourself back. You really are. It helps you so much more than you even realize. Any debt, all debt, there's no good debt out there. Just get rid of it.
Right. You hear some people say, "Oh, there's good debt." No. That's still money going out.
Yeah, I would rather not pay 2% interest and just keep the cash myself. And I know that's a game you can play. That's a math game and everything.
Right.
There's still a feeling on your chest that you have money out there that you you owe to somebody. Like, I might be able to pay it off, but you owe somebody. And once you pay it off, the feeling's indescribable.
Yep.
So it's a real big advantage if you can get to that point. But I would still say working towards that point is an advantage too, because you're building that muscle. And that muscle is going to serve you throughout the rest of your life. And we talk about that a lot. Creates more freedom and less risk. So when you're debt free,
the bank can't repossess your house. The car dealership can't come and get your car. The credit card company can't come and garnish your paychecks. You
Can
know,
they do that?
I don't know.
I don't think they can.
Can they?
I don't know.
They could. I don't know.
We're so ignorant of these laws because we don't have credit cards outstanding. So you're just yeah. But I do know like even like student loans, there's only so much they can do, but they can do things to you. They can do things like it's not a risk-free debt to take on, because they can't take cash from you. It's just debt is a scary thing. It's a scary tool, and there are a lot of companies out there that work with our government to ensure they get their money back.
And like we said before a couple of weeks ago, I don't remember if it was last week and the other one, but debt is what our society is built upon right now. So breaking free from that.
But our society, freedom. Aaron and I were just talking about this. Our society has always been built upon debt.
It has.
It has, because when you would go in, you can see it in old TV shows or old cartoons. What would they do? They would charge. They would have store credit.
Store credit.
You would have an ongoing tab at your bar. You still have ongoing tabs at your bar. This isn't something that hasn't been there. There's reasons.
It's just evolved.
It's evolved where it's so much easier to get into debt.
That is true.
It is so much easier to get into debt, and there's no cap.
Right.
There's no cap. Like, you could have nothing.
Like before, your local grocery store might be like, sorry, all you can have is $100 in credit at a time. Okay.
No. Now you can get a $30,000 credit card and have nothing to your name.
Right.
And not have, bring it in, $1,000 a month. But when you're debt free, you also have less risk. So when you purchase something with cash, and this is not even debt free, just when you purchase it with cash, your risk goes away because you're not purchasing it with credit. So you buy a vehicle with cash. Something happens. Okay, you might be out a little bit of cash, but you're not going to have to pay the difference of what you might owe.
Yeah.
Like maybe you buy it for 20 grand and you can only get 15 grand out of it because of whatever's wrong with it. Well, you're going to lose 5 grand. But you're not having to pay back 5 grand plus what you have to get for a new vehicle.
That's true.
There's a lot of risk in that. And a lot of people don't really take that into account when they go into debt. No.
I mean, it's sort of common.
It is. It's commonplace. You don't think about the actual risk. Right. You don't think about the risk of when you drive a vehicle off the parking lot at a dealership, it automatically starts to lose value because it's now used. You've used it. There's a thing about, and I know some people are new car, some people are used car. Some people don't really care. We just want to pay cash going forward, whatever vehicle we get. And we have specific requirements on what kind of vehicle we're looking for our area.
We do. We always have to have one that always has to have all-wheel four-wheel drive, just in case.
Just in case. That's like just understood. Yeah. So we're probably going to pay up a little bit more for something like that, but for us, it's cash because it reduces our risk. If something happens, if something is wrong, we're not going to have to owe the bank 20 grand on a vehicle that's not going to be able to run because we pay for cash. We might lose a little bit, but we can recoup some of our losses. So you do have less risk. You don't have no risk. Nothing in this world is no risk. There's always risk. You're just eliminating some of that risk because now you don't owe the bank, and that 5 grand extra that you owe the bank is still going to be accruing interest and all of the other stuff you have to deal with. It's still there. You have to pay it off. You really learn what's important for you and your family. We talk about this all the time.
Your wants and your needs.
Your wants and your needs. And I feel like in this world, everybody thinks that their wants are their needs.
They are not.
They are not.
What do you need to make it day to day?
Like every day.
Food, water, electricity. Maybe you need internet. If you have a job that works from home, or you don't need need internet, for example, if you go out
into an office.
into an office or into a factory every day, you know, do you really need it? I mean, if you got cell phone signal, you got your phone. These are when we talk about the bare bones. Like for us, for example, our entertainment's getting cut. You know, when we go to bare bones, there is no Philo TV for $16 a month. You know, that's getting cut. You know, stuff like that are things we always look at from a perspective of which ones in our budget are wants and which ones are actually needs.
What are we dropping automatically? Highlight. We know what is to be dropped. We actually need to label these in our budget. So, you know, because we discuss this periodically, we have these discussions. We always go through a bare bones budget around November just to take a look at it. It's always a good time for us to feel really good. We print it out, look at it, and I think having it like labeled, this is, you know, bare bones. This is an expense we will always have. But if we didn't need our internet, like if we didn't have a job where we needed the internet to upload, drop it. It's expensive. If it came down to that point, that's $100 off our budget we could take off of.
Well, I see ours.
Well, with the phone.
So we have a house phone.
We do have a house phone.
Just because we don't always have cell signal.
We don't. That's true. But it is some off of our budget. $50.
Yep.
That doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're going bare bones, bare minimum, only the things to get you through each day until you get back up on your feet, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Now, your coffee is not a necessity. We would drop the coffee because we would drop the coffee creamer in the milk. I mean, we would. It would just have to be something we would have to knock off our list. We love coffee, but it's an expense for us. And we make it at home, so ours is cheap. Ours is really cheap. Our coffee creamer is really cheap to make.
Right. And
a lot of people buy it out.
Right. I was just talking to, I remember someone today, and they were talking about, or yesterday, and they were like, oh, you know, when I go on this specific drive, I'm always stopping and getting a Starbucks order ahead.
I mean, it's just an extra expense.
Yeah.
So, but what it does when you're going through this frugality journey, it lets you know what you really need for your family, what you can and cannot do without. But not only that, but it also helps you determine, like, in a good time, what your family really needs to function.
Yeah.
Like, what does my family really value? What do we find important? And what don't we find important? Is it important that we have new clothes every season? No.
Talking about that, we were just joking today. I was like, I don't plan on buying any more clothes until I die, you know.
He's being so silly. He knows he's going to have to buy something. Or I will buy it for him for Christmas.
I'm still wearing some clothes from the 9th grade.
He is. He is. I got rid of the coat, finally. It could not take any more patches.
That is true.
It could not take any more patchwork. That poor coat. But that, it is important. We talk about the importance of doing what's best for you and your family. It really takes the lens of social media kind of away from it. You're like, wow, well, I was doing this because I saw all these other families doing this, and I thought this would be really good for my family, but it's actually not. It's actually doing more harm to our family life balance than it's actually doing good. It really gives you that ability to build the best family life you can. I mean, within a budget, and do it fun. You find new ways to, creative ways, and build new memories in different ways that are so much.
New ways to find discounts.
New ways to find discounts. New ways to find fun.
Yeah.
And just to do things. For us, we have the most fun just walking around a grocery store with the little one on vacation.
Well, we have to.
We have to get her to move. She needs movement every 2 hours. So we find a grocery store. It's a great place to walk around.
Walk up and down every aisle.
Walk up and down every aisle. She has the time of her life. We do too. She talks to people. And
yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You just see all the sweetness out of a little one.
Mm.
You can respond to financial crisis a lot easier when you take a frugal lifestyle. they don't become crises anymore. They become, okay, here's the problem, let's deal with it.
Right.
When we first got together, we had 3 financial crises in us immediately. If I had had an emergency fund and we hadn't been able to pull funds from some other places, we would have been in a lot of trouble when we first got together.
Yeah, it would have probably been, you had to have your vehicle to get to work, and I had to have mine to get to work at that time. So it would have probably been, we are waiting a couple months on the heat pump.
Mm-hmm. It would have. It would have been, because we were just started living together. We hadn't really figured out what our finances looked like, and all of a sudden we had a $1,500 bill, we had a $5,000 bill, and we had a $1,000 bill we had to pay for, all within 3 months of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of wild.
It was tough.
It was really tough, but we were able to manage it because I had been putting some money away into an emergency fund since I started working. I'd been putting just a little bit away, and it had grown and built up, and then we were able to manage everything else and move things around without going into debt for these funds.
Right. I think we had chili more often right then too.
We did. I think we did. I think we did. Because it was a cheap meal.
Right.
It was a really cheap meal. We were very careful those first few months because of how things were working. Well, no, that first week, remember that week we lost power. I cooked a whole bunch of food, and we couldn't eat the stroganoff dish because I made it like the recipe said with the wine. Well, we couldn't eat it.
That was the only meal that I couldn't eat of hers. That was.
I followed the recipe.
Pure alcohol.
I followed the recipe, and it called for the wine. And I made it before, but I made it without the wine. It was me and Aaron. I was like, okay, well, I'll try it with the wine. I made a lot of it. And we had to throw it all out.
It was bad.
That was a big frugal fail.
Yeah.
But now we have an issue. We're able to deal with it.
Right.
I mean, any issues that come across, we're able to deal with it now. One of us is a little bit more traumatic than the other one when there's a problem. The house is burning down, sort of thing. But once we actually look at the problem, determine what we need to do, we can manage it pretty well and get it fixed. Right. We might have to patch it until we can get somebody out here to fix it. But for the most part, we really don't have financial crises anymore because with the frugality mindset, we've been able to put enough away for an emergency fund. We've been able to pay off our debt that you really get that sense of peace that, okay, this isn't really a crisis now, which you would have if you were living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
This, okay, how are we going to deal with this? What's really the problem?
Right. I mean, putting $20 back a month even. So you have an unexpected $100 water bill, use more water or something, hey, I have that money set aside now, and I'm able for it to not take a hit.
That's one of the few sinking funds we did not take out of our budget, was our emergency fund. It's still there. It is. It is still there. It's one of the few sinking funds. So we were putting away $200 a month into a savings account that was built into our budget. We took that out because we were putting away more than that.
Right.
Now, because of how well we're doing saving. But the emergency saving, it's always there. For us, it's $50 a month.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe how quickly this $50 a month really builds. I would say even if you're working to get out of debt, and I know there's a lot of people who say different things.
Right. A lot of people say don't save anything while you're trying to pay off debt.
Or only have a really small emergency fund. We know for a fact that emergency fund
has had to been used.
Has had to be used. We had $1,500 for my vehicle. We had a lot of purchases that we had to take care of, and it had to be done pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And if we hadn't had that cash set aside, that we were just putting away, scrolling away a little bit at a time. In all honesty, you probably lower your grocery budget, if you can, by $20 to put money into an emergency fund. That's what? How many bags of Cheetos?
I don't know these
We
days.
don't know. We don't buy
It
them.
might be 2 bags.
I was going to say 5 or 6 bags of Cheetos. So there's your month's worth of Cheetos. Chalk that into an emergency fund. Just keep building it and let it just stockpile. And that should be money you never look at, you never touch, ever, until you actually have an emergency. That's what it's there for.
Yep.
It's the, oh no, we've got to have a new washing machine because ours just went kaput.
Yep.
We had that.
Yeah.
And what did we do? We went to Lowe's the next night and found a washing machine. Or, oh no, our stove is not working. What are we going to do?
Stuff happens.
It does. You have to be able to, work through it and replace it. So that's just one of the things. You can deal with crisis a lot better because you are living below your means, which is really part of frugality. You're not taking away from your day-to-day lifestyle, but you are living below your means, and you're socking away cash and paying off debt or focusing on one or the other. You can typically handle those crises a little bit better. You have the ability to take advantage of opportunities with less risk. Taking advantage of opportunities is game changer.
It is. A good example is when, we were able to fit it in our budget. But let's say, grocery budget. Let's say the month when that chicken went on sale, when that bacon went on sale, etc. That was an opportunity because it was on sale. It will help feed our family, for many, many months to come. And we were like, okay, we're getting
bacon feeds me for 30 weeks. 30 weeks is how much I was able to split up into 30. It was 30 pounds of bacon. I was able to split it up into 1 pound. That we have bacon, 2 days a week. On the weekend, it's a treat. Or, 1 day, depending on how much the little one decides she wants to eat. And I was able to put it in a baggie, split it out, and that takes care of our family.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is just how we're able to actually take advantage of chicken. Was able to get it into our freezer. I actually just took advantage of another sale. It's in my stockpile because I have that stockpile money there to use every single month.
98 cents a pound again.
98 cents a pound. Got 6 packs to put
8 packs.
I got 8 packs, 2 of them were to use that week.
Okay.
6 of them were to put away. He doesn't manage the groceries. He's actually out of it even more now.
I am.
You are like, he's just like, where's what I want, and I find it and take care of it.
Right.
But for the most part, where I've been able to do this, but I've been able to keep our grocery budget really low because I've been managing it all.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to keep it really low. I'm a little territorial about my kitchen, and I know this, and that's okay. But it helps me manage our grocery budget and helps me take advantage of the sales when we need to. But you have less risk with it. If all that chicken would have been bad, I'd been like, okay.
Yeah.
Been okay. Like, I caught it on sale and I don't like it. It feels bad, but
It was $35.
It's $35. But you can expand this to making purchases for your homestead. Because you're frugal, you're saving for a goal. You're looking to buy something for your property on your homestead or whatever you're doing.
For that next piece of land beside you that just came up for sale.
You have opportunity money.
Yeah.
And you're going to have it with less risk because you're using cash.
Yep.
You move at the speed of cash. That's part of it. So you have that ability. We use cash. We have a set sinking fund now for our homestead projects. This has saved us.
Right. So you don't have all that hit 1 month, for example. Or like what we'd like to do was just talking about a day or two ago. You were like, okay, your birthday and the little ones is coming up. Do you want me to split that up in 2 months? Yeah, split it up in 2 months because then it doesn't all hit in 1 month.
Like I can buy half of hers, which I've already started hers, and I can buy part of Erin's and then split them up. And that works out really, really well for us, and it kind of splits our costs. Well, we have that money saved up so we take advantage of those opportunities. It's really important. You think of it big scale and you think of it little scale like Erin just did with the sales we called at the grocery store. Mm-hmm. Either way, it helps you. And it is an advantage. It helps you really maximize how you're living day to day. And that's the goal. That's the goal. You want to live the life you want to live and do it the way you want to do it without spending as much money as they want you to spend.
Exactly.
And when you're living below your means, it can become hard. Especially when you're dealing with rising prices and stuff. It can be hard. You can't take advantage of sales the way you used to if you're not saving that cash up. Like, you might have blown your whole grocery budget the week before, and you're like, wow, there's a really good sale this week. I wish I could take advantage of that, but you can't because you blew every dollar that you had the week before. Those are all things to consider whenever you're living that lifestyle. So a frugal lifestyle isn't something to shun, and you make it what you want to make it. I think that's the biggest thing. I think
it is. Your frugal lifestyle is going to be different from ours.
It is.
We've even seen under the medium, like we've talked about before with them, they talk about constantly, going out to get their haircuts a lot. Okay, to us, that's not a big thing. She cuts mine.
Mine every couple of years.
Yeah.
It's, once every couple of years and just a trim and we're done. And I pay a little bit more up for mine.
So they do it right.
So they do it right. Well, I don't know what time we paid up. You were not happy.
I was not happy.
He was not happy.
How short?
He just looked at me. He's like, well, what? I was like, she just chopped it off like right here. And he was not happy.
Okay, so what do you think the biggest advantage for somebody new getting into the frugal lifestyle would be?
The biggest advantage is learning what you really need day to day. Learning what really brings you joy. Once you cut down, I would say if you're starting frugality, like really starting it, you're wanting to embrace this, go bare bones for 1 month.
Just to see what?
Just to see what it looks like. And like, you'd be like, God, okay. Or even 2 weeks. Do 2 weeks or 1 week. I say 1 week's probably not long enough. That's why I say a month. Yeah. Like, anybody can push for a week. Make it hurt. Make it hurt. Be like, okay, we're not going to do...
Like you're going for a workout. Make it hurt.
We're not going to do... Well, you are. You're working your money.
You are.
You're making your money work harder for you. So you're going to stretch every dollar. And you're going to go bare bones. Like, we are only buying what we have to buy. And paying only what we have to pay to survive. So your mortgage, your rent, the minimum balances on your credit cards or anything like that, on your student loan payment. Yeah. All of those things need to be paid. Your electricity, your water bill, anything like that you have, you're going to make sure it's paid. But then everything else, just no. We're not going out to eat. We're not getting coffee. We're not doing any of these things. We're not going to the movies. We're not going to the water park. We're not doing any of these fun things that we would usually do. Right. We're not going shopping. We're not going walking around. If it's not free, we're not doing it. And really see how it affects your family. Be like, well, you know what? I know it's not frugal. Or it's not Julie and Aaron's version of frugal. But I really like my coffee. I really like my coffee once a week as a treat to myself. That's a real treat. I really want to go get my coffee from this special coffee shop. And you find out what really brings you joy. Because it's an environment I enjoy. I like talking to the people. I like being in that environment. I just enjoy it. And it just brings me so much happiness. Or, I can do everything else, but my nails have to be done. That's something that gives me joy, whatever that is. Or I have to go to the bookstore. I don't care what it is. But I'd say cut to your bare bones, figure out what it is, and then start building a frugal budget from there. Absolute bare bones for 1 month. And then kind of build out what you need. And then you're really going to see what really brings you joy and happiness in your world. And what your life really needs to function in a good way. Because I can tell you now, we function a lot better. We're not perfect, but our household functions so much better at this point in our life.
It does.
We don't have all the trying to keep it clean, trying to keep it managed, the laundry managed, all that kind of happens. The dishes happen, everything sort of happens, and it's not a struggle to get it all done. So everything sort of flows. Now, again, we've talked about we have some other issues in other places that we have to figure out. We're working on it. We're working as a team to find out what solution works for us. So you have to find out what solutions work for you when it comes to frugality and really learn what's important and what's not, and what you're wanting to spend your money on and what you don't.
Yeah.
What about you?
What about me? What?
What do you think is the most important thing for somebody new to frugality?
So I think it's going to be figuring out the best way to get debt free, because for different people there's different ways. If you're not debt free already, that is, but you've got to look at it and be like, okay, like she said, maybe the bare bones. This is what I know I can get down to each month. This is how much extra I know I've got available to put toward the debt each month. And maybe I've got two different debts. Then you're looking at it from a snowball method, from a highest interest rate method,
the
avalanche method, and you're like, okay, well, which one's gonna be better for me in the long run? It's going to be a lot of scenarios that you run through. It's going to be the research. It's going to be,
But you also have to look at it through a person. Don't just look at the math.
Yep.
Which method am I going to stick to?
That's a good point.
Don't jump into something because the math tells you it's a good idea.
Which is easier for you to do.
You be honest with yourself.
I mean, you might have two different debts. One of them takes you 30 minutes to get through all the logins to pay, and you're like, I don't have time today. I'm not going to do that extra payment. That takes you 2 minutes. That's a good example. You might be like, I can do this one every week.
The extra payment and get that one paid off.
I will say, when you had your student loan, after we moved it from the one place to the other, I go in any moment and just put an extra $100 toward it.
But it never really stopped you.
No.
That's not what stopped you. I'm thinking more behavioral, like somebody's like not seeing the needle move fast enough.
It helps when you put an extra $100 over to it every now and then. But that is true, because you want to see that instant gratification.
You do. You want that instant gratification. So you need to be honest with yourself, and you also have to be realistic. Like, you can say you have this goal, but if you don't actually implement and do it and plan it out, it's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't get paid off by itself. It doesn't get paid off by itself.
So, what are your all's advantages are to a frugal lifestyle? Make sure to leave that down below in the comments. Tell us what you think
what we've missed,
what you think it might be even more important than some of the ones we talked about. I'm sure everybody else would love to read those as well.
If we have enough of them, maybe we do a part 3.
Yep. But, any comments, questions, you can either leave them down below in comments or send them over to thecannycouple@yahoo.com, and make sure to go over and check out our link tree with all of our other content.
And as always, thank you for joining us on Rural Reliance with the Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.